God is divine, we are human beings. To our love, God replies to us, being God, and He reacts differently. And in love, human beings react totally differently. When we are in love with God, there are certain things that we must not do. But when God loves us, do we hand over to Him a list of do's and don'ts? He does what He does. He doesn't change. His habits do not change. So just imagine how different is our love regime than God's love regime. Yesterday we spoke about love and whether there is a difference between human love and divine love. Basically, love is the same, but love is like a vehicle. If the road is rough, the vehicle is going to have a bumpy, jumpy ride. And if the road is smooth, the vehicle will run smooth. Because human love is not trustworthy. Therefore, there are ups and downs. In human love, one has to make sacrifices to maintain love. And in divine love is the same. One has to maintain love by making sacrifices. These sacrifices are made in order to pass the test that God puts you through. And the only reason why God would want to test you is that He wants to ensure that you love Him the most. So any element of admiration in your life other than God is thrown out. That's what it is. One thing is quite noticeable in God's love. When God finally loves somebody, His love is very intense, and He loves that somebody with a lot of vigor. Another important thing in God's love is that one has to maintain two different types of relationship with God: love and obedience to God. And after God has granted somebody His love, by nature, God is extremely possessive, almost obsessive. Sultan Naqbahu said, a great Sufi mystic, "Jis dam ghafil, us dam kafir." The moment you are heedless of God, in that moment you reject Him. So those who are granted God's love, they cannot afford to befriend anybody else. And God has a very good excuse: shirk. Right now you do not know what God's love is. No matter how many times you read it in Bible and Quran, you will never have a fair idea of what God's love is. You will only know what God's love is when you are in love with God. When you are in love with God, the charm of love is gone. Because God will tell you, in this relationship in which I love you and you love me, I am the one who has granted you love. So your efforts towards love are zero. It is I who has granted you love. And that is true. You cannot love God. Why? Because we are a different species. God is divine, we are human beings. We will never know how to love God. We will never know how does God feel. To our love, God replies to us being God, and He reacts differently. And in love, human beings react totally differently. We are always emotional in love. God is never emotional in love. We have a problem of separation, absence of the beloved, separation from the beloved. And to God, there is no such thing as separation. As human beings, we have this problem. Maybe we might offend our beloved and we will lose our beloved, whereas God doesn't have any of such problems. We're always scared we shouldn't do anything silly lest we offend the beloved. We're always afraid we shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. We don't want to upset our beloved. But God has no fear. I'm telling you how God reacts to love. So in God's love regime, there is no such thing as separation or any thoughts that He would do something and it would upset the lover or the beloved. No such thing. So His love is carefree. This is why there are no emotions. Just imagine if you were not to die, you would do everything. We would be, eating biryani every day. Chachu would be eating parathas every day, not just Sundays. It's different, isn't it? It's different. Do you think God would ever think that He would upset somebody, therefore He mustn't do this, mustn't do that? No. We have to be obedient to God. When we are in love with God, is God obedient to us? When we are in love with God, there are certain things that we must not do. But when God loves us, do we hand over to Him a list of do's and don'ts? He does what He does. Whether He loves us or He doesn't love us, He does what He does. He doesn't change. His habits do not change. So just imagine how different is our love regime than God's love regime. In God's love regime, it's carefree. God will ask you to prove that you love Him, to jump from a mountain. He might ask you. But you cannot ask God to jump from Arsh Ilahi. God will test us, but we cannot test God. Can we? In other words, God grants us love, and we love God. That's the main story. And then God will react to our love in whatever way He decides to, in whatever form of expression He would want to. God will grant us His love, and we will love Him.